peptides, specifically Retatrutide or Retatrutide or GLP-3, whatever you would like to call it. But is this the magic drug we all once wished for? The one where you said, imagine you could just take some and lose weight? I got to be honest, it kind of is. Now, I'm not going to say there can't be potential negatives that come alongside utilizing this thing, because there certainly are, and I'll go over them. But I have to say, from utilizing it myself and have talked with many people about using it, it seems to have a lot more positive than negative. So let's chat about it. All right. So the reason it's called GLP-3 is because it has a triple agonist, okay? And there's going to be three pathways that come alongside with this drug that help you lose weight. And we're going to talk about each of them, okay? So there was a GLP-1, which you guys heard about. Ozempic is the brand name, right? Then there was GLP-2, which had two pathways, agonist pathways, Tirzepatide. And now Retatrutide or Retatrutide is GLP-3 because there's three pathways. So let's talk about GLP-1 and what that does for you, okay? It's going to mute your hunger signaling. So whenever you're like dieting and you start feeling hungry, GLP-1 mutes that, okay? And how it does that, it stops the signaling to the brain that you're hungry, essentially. Now, what it also does is it slows down gastric emptying, meaning it's going to make you feel fuller longer because food's going to sit in your stomach longer. So the combination of those two things makes you feel not as hungry, which is one of the hardest parts about dieting. Obviously, people get really hungry and want to eat more food while they're dieting, right? Now, not only that, but because it shuts off that food noise, what it also does is shuts off food cravings, right? Which sounds pretty crazy, but like when people are dieting, like, oh, I can't wait to have a slice of pizza or a burger or ice cream, whatever it might be. The GLP-1 agonist really does kind of like negate those cravings. You don't really think about food at all, so you don't really have those cravings. Now, the biggest issue when GLP-1 came out, Ozempic, the brand name, was that people were getting extremely nauseous, like feeling sick all the time. And obviously that's not fun to feel, even though it may come with losing weight. Like you don't want to feel like that the whole time. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be a photo. For whatever reason, it's not. Regardless, I'm more important. Okay. That was an issue. Now, GIP is the second agonist, and that helped with the nausea shield. Okay, so essentially, it told the brain to relax and not get nauseous. That's just how I'm going to put it for you guys. Okay, but that's not even the main benefit of GIP. Okay, the main GIP is how it affects insulin and your body's ability to be more sensitive to carbohydrates. Right, so a lot of people who are overweight, when they eat carbohydrates, their muscles and liver cells don't open up to those carbohydrates, and therefore they sit in the bloodstream longer and then ultimately turn into fat storage. GIP helps you become more insulin sensitive, meaning your cells now become more receptive to carbohydrates and glucose and start to take them in and either utilize them as energy or store them as muscle glycogen. All right. So that's obviously super important. Even if you're someone who's not trying to lose weight, you're trying to maintain your weight, this can actually allow you to lose fat and build muscle at the same time because you're now partitioning nutrients better than you originally were, right? You're utilizing the food that you're intaking better, right? So ultimately, you will end up losing fat and building muscle to a limited degree, most likely, but it is a net positive. Now, when you're losing weight, it's a massive positive because we know that we're now going to utilize these nutrients significantly better. But also, this is more than just weight loss. This is like improving health, right? If you're someone who's a diabetic, right? This is why the drugs were created in the first place. Okay, this is fixing diabetes. That was the whole purpose behind these drugs when they first came out. All right. So let's talk about the third. So we talked about two pathways, GLP-1 and then GIP. So Tirzepatide, GLP-2 had both those pathways, but does not have this one. Retatrutide does. And this is going to be the glucagon receptor. And this is potentially the craziest of all three. Essentially what it does is it raises your body's metabolism, okay, by burning more calories at rest. So while you're sitting here watching this video, you will burn more calories while on this drug than while not on drugs, okay? And what also will happen is it allows your body to utilize stored fat as energy, okay? So it tells your liver to actively break down and release stored fat to be used as fuel. And to do that is without this drug is genuinely significantly harder. And the fact that it can do that is insane. And that is why you're going to be able to burn more fat utilizing this drug than if you don't utilize it. So it's just a wild thing, to be completely honest. Just absolutely insane. Now, we talked about all the positives. Okay. Now let's talk about how to utilize it properly. If you look at the clinical studies that are done on this peptide and how they go about it, they start you on a low dose and they just raise it every week. Raise it until they get to some absurd number of like 12 milligrams per week. That is not how you do this. That is the dumbest way to possibly do it. What you do is you start at the minimal effective dose, meaning whatever the least amount of milligrams you need to take to get all the effects of these three is where you should stay. And you stay there until you no longer do. How do you know? When you start feeling hungry when you normally didn't feel hungry, maybe you raise it a little bit. So let me just give a hypothetical way of doing this. This is not me telling you to do this. This is me just saying hypothetically how you could. You start at 1 milligram. You do 2 injections per week, one on Monday, one on Thursday, 0.5, 0.5. You utilize that for 4 or 5 weeks. If it's great, everything's going well, then all of a sudden it stops working. You start feeling hungrier than normal. So you increase from 1 to 2. And now you do 1 on Monday, 1 on Thursday. And you do that again for a period of time until it no longer works. Now you don't go 2 to 4, you go 2 to 3. Okay. And you sit there. And that is how you titrate up your dosage. You don't just titrate it up because it's a new week. That's not how you do it. Do not do that. Okay. So we went over how you should utilize it. We went over the positives. Let's go over the potential negatives. Okay. So the negatives are that you can lose muscle while doing this. Okay. And how that will occur is if you don't eat enough protein and you don't lift weights. Because when you are losing weight, your body pulls from storage. You have plenty of muscle stored on the body that it can pull from alongside fat, but it has no problem pulling muscle as well if you don't tell it to keep it. Tell your body to keep it. How do you tell your body to keep muscle? 2 ways. One, you weight train, okay? Because you're signaling to your body that we need these muscles. Do not get rid of them. And the second is you eat a sufficient amount of protein alongside of that. My recommendation, around 1 gram per pound of body weight. You weigh 140 pounds, eat 140 grams. Okay, it's a simple way of going about things. You do those 2 things, you're going to keep your muscle. If you don't, you're going to end up looking skinny fat. All right. So that is Retatrutide in a nutshell. Okay. Pretty quick way of understanding it. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It will support me and I will be able to keep making more of these videos. If you have any additional questions outside of wanting to leave it in a comment, you can email me at tommypomaticofitness@gmail.com or message me on Instagram, Tommy_Pomatico. Hope this was helpful, guys. Until next time.